The mahogany table in Bill Hamilton's office has seen its fair share of high-stakes drama, but nothing could have prepared us for the absolute masterclass in legal destruction that Mike Davis just delivered. If you have been following the intense legal battle brewing between Bill and his former protege, Mike, you knew a storm was coming. But a hurricane? That is exactly what hit Dr. Madison Montgomery. We all watched as Madison sat there, supposedly the innocent victim of a convoluted hospital scandal, flanked by two of the best legal minds in Fairmont Crest, Bill Hamilton and Naomi Hawthorne. They were confident. They were ready to shut Mike down. But then the unthinkable happened. Mike did not just push Madison. He cornered her, trapping her in a web of her own omissions. And when the pressure reached a boiling point, Madison finally cracked, delivering a confession that left Bill and Naomi completely and utterly stunned. Let us quickly recap the sheer chaos of this moment. For weeks, Madison has maintained her absolute innocence regarding the medical scandal that Mike is aggressively investigating. She looked Chelsea in the eyes, she looked her lawyers in the eyes, and she swore she had nothing to hide. But as Mike Davis arrogantly strutted around that negotiation room, throwing down evidence and pointing out glaring inconsistencies in her timeline, Madison's pristine facade began to crumble. She had not told the whole truth. Under Mike's relentless, suffocating pressure, the brilliant doctor was forced to admit that she had lied, or at the very least, committed a massive sin of omission about her involvement in the incident. Bill and Naomi were blindsided. You could physically see the shock register on their faces as their star client essentially torpedoed her own defense in real time. This brings us to a massive, glaring question. Is Dr. Madison Montgomery truly as innocent as she claimed to be? We have to analyze the logic behind her actions, because this is no longer just about emotions. This is about survival. Madison is a highly intelligent, logical woman. She is a top-tier medical professional who makes life and death decisions every single day. So why on earth would she lie to her own legal counsel? The psychology here is fascinating. When brilliant people are backed into a corner, they often believe they can outsmart the situation. Madison likely thought that if she just buried one specific damaging detail, the rest of her innocence would shine through. She tried to curate the truth, but in a legal battle against a shark like Mike Davis, a curated truth is just a lie waiting to be exposed. Her lack of honesty has now pushed her future to the absolute brink of darkness. Let us talk about the immediate legal fallout for Bill and Naomi. How do you defend a client who has just handed the opposing counsel the exact ammunition they need to destroy you? Bill Hamilton is already fighting a war on multiple fronts. He is physically deteriorating, secretly being poisoned by his own wife, Haley, and his focus is fractured. Naomi is drowning in her own sea of guilt, having just confessed to her mother that she has been lying for months about her positive BRCA gene test. These two lawyers are already emotionally compromised. Now, they are faced with a client who lied to them. Can they even salvage this case? Madison's confession might have just tied their hands completely. Mike Davis's arrogant declaration that he was going to win this case did not just look like bluster anymore. It looked like a prophecy coming true. It is crucial to highlight the sheer brilliance and absolute sleaziness of Mike Davis in this scenario. We all love to hate Mike. He is arrogant, he is vindictive, and he is determined to humiliate his former boss, Bill. But we have to give credit where credit is due. Mike did his homework. He knew exactly which buttons to push to make Madison break. He did not just ask questions, he laid a trap. He cornered her so perfectly that she had no choice but to confess. If there was ever a moment that solidified Mike as a formidable villain in the courtroom, this was it. He has officially taken the upper hand, and it seems almost inevitable that Mike is going to win this lawsuit. Madison's lack of transparency did not just hurt her. It handed Mike the victory on a silver platter. But the legal ramifications are only half of this tragic equation. We must pivot to the personal fallout, specifically regarding Chelsea Hamilton. Chelsea has been Madison's fiercest protector. Remember, Madison recently turned down a massive, career-defining research project in Copenhagen just to stay in Fairmont Crest and prioritize her relationship with Chelsea. Chelsea has defended Madison against every doubter and every hater. She believed in Madison's innocence with every fiber of her being. So, how is Chelsea going to react when she finds out that the woman she is preparing to marry looked her in the eye and lied? The betrayal is going to be astronomical. Chelsea is fiercely loyal, but she also demands honesty. This revelation is going to shatter the foundation of trust they have built. Will Chelsea be disappointed in her fiancé? Absolutely. Disappointment might not even be a strong enough word. Chelsea is going to feel foolish for defending someone who was hiding a dark secret all along. This brings us back to the ominous predictions that fans and characters alike have whispered about for months, that Chelsea and Madison's journey to the altar would be fraught with insurmountable obstacles. Are we watching the beginning of the end for this fan favorite couple? The dark predictions about their wedding being canceled are suddenly looking incredibly realistic. A marriage cannot survive on a foundation of lies, and Madison just proved that she is capable of hiding massive, life-altering truths when the pressure is on. Let us dig deeper into the why of Madison's lie. What exactly is she hiding that was so terrible she risked her career, her legal defense, and her relationship to keep it buried? Is it possible that Madison was covering for someone else? In the soap world, a shocking confession is rarely the end of the story. It is usually the gateway to an even bigger secret. What if Madison's lie was not an act of self-preservation, but an act of protection? Could she be shielding the hospital administration? Could she be covering up a mistake made by a colleague? Or, in a wild twist of fate, could she be protecting Chelsea herself from some collateral damage related to this scandal? If Madison's lie was born out of nobility rather than guilt, it changes the entire landscape of this storyline. However, if Madison was simply trying to save her own skin and botched it, we have to question her judgment moving forward. The medical board in Fairmont Crest is notoriously strict. We just saw Dr. Leah Whitmore lose her position as chief of staff over the plasma ring scandal. The hospital is trying to clean up its image under the new leadership of Dr. Monica McCormick. Monica has already proven she is ruthless. Just look at how she abruptly terminated the hospital's agreement with Leslie Thomas's free clinic. If Monica catches wind that Madison lied during a legal investigation, she will not hesitate to strip Madison of her medical license. Madison's dishonesty has truly pushed her future into a dark, terrifying abyss. She could lose everything: her freedom, her medical license, and her fiancé. And what about Bill Hamilton's reputation? Bill prides himself on being the smartest guy in the room. He took this case to prove to Mike Davis that he is still the king of the legal jungle in Fairmont Crest. But Mike just humiliated him in his own office. Bill's failure to properly vet his own client, his failure to see through Madison's lies, is a massive blow to his ego. Combine this with the physical toll that Haley's poison is taking on his body, the severe hand tremors, the lack of focus, and we are watching the slow, agonizing destruction of Bill Hamilton. Madison's confession might be the final nail in the coffin of Bill's illustrious legal career. He cannot defend a client who lies to him, and he cannot beat an opponent who is 3 steps ahead. Naomi is also collateral damage in this explosion. Naomi just had her own massive breakthrough, tearfully confessing to Danny that she lied about her BRCA gene test. Naomi knows exactly what it feels like to carry the crushing weight of a secret. When Madison confessed, Naomi likely saw a mirror image of her own deceptive behavior. Will Naomi judge Madison harshly, or will she offer her empathy? Naomi's ability to defend Madison might be compromised not just by the legal facts, but by her own psychological projection. How can Naomi advocate for truth and justice in the courtroom when she has been living a lie in her own marriage to Jacob? The parallels between Naomi and Madison are striking, and this case is going to push Naomi to her absolute mental limits. Let us introduce a twist perspective here. What if Mike Davis is actually being played? We all assume Madison broke under pressure, but what if this confession is a calculated risk orchestrated by Bill Hamilton? It is a long shot, but hear me out. Bill is a master manipulator. What if Bill realized they were losing, so he instructed Madison to feed Mike a partial confession, a controlled burn, to satisfy Mike's ego and draw him into a false sense of security? If Mike thinks he has already won, he might get sloppy. He might overplay his hand in front of the judge. It would be a wildly dangerous strategy, but it is exactly the kind of high-stakes gamble Bill Hamilton is known for. Is Madison a victim of Mike's cross-examination, or is she the bait in Bill's ultimate trap? Regardless of whether this is a trap or a genuine collapse, the damage to Madison's personal life is real. Chelsea Hamilton is not a pawn in a legal game. When Chelsea learns that Madison's testimony just got infinitely worse for everyone involved, the fallout will be nuclear. Chelsea has a history of trauma. Remember her kidnapping by Allison? She needs stability, honesty, and safety. Madison has just brought a hurricane of legal peril and deceit into Chelsea's life. The tragedy here is that Madison likely turned down the Copenhagen project because she thought her life in Fairmont Crest was secure. Now, she is trapped in a town where her reputation is in tatters, facing a lawsuit she is destined to lose, and looking at a fiancé who may no longer trust her. As we look ahead to the upcoming episodes, all eyes will be on the courtroom and the Hamilton-Dupree living rooms. Mike Davis is currently holding all the cards, strutting around with the smug satisfaction of a man who just checkmated his mentor. Madison is left picking up the shattered pieces of her credibility. Bill and Naomi are scrambling to figure out how to do damage control for a case that just went up in flames. And Chelsea is standing on the precipice of a massive heartbreak. The stakes have never been higher, and the emotional wreckage is going to be devastating. The beauty of Beyond the Gates is that actions have profound, inescapable consequences. Madison Montgomery thought she could outrun the truth, but the truth always catches up. Her desperate confession under Mike's intense pressure has reshaped the entire landscape of this legal battle. It proves that in Fairmont Crest, no one is truly innocent, and everyone has a breaking point. Will Madison's dishonesty push her future into total darkness, costing her both her career and the love of her life? Or will she find a way to claw her way back from the brink of destruction? One thing is certain. The wedding bells for Chelsea and Madison have been replaced by warning sirens, and we are all holding our breath to see who survives the fallout.